congrats on Imaginary. And I wanted to ask about your character. Jessica, obviously, she has her own trauma that we find out throughout the film. And you have these really great scenes. And I wasn't sure of the actor that plays your father in the film. But how is it kind of doing those more grounded moments? Because the film gets really out there by the end, but those moments really humanize the character. So how was it filming those scenes with the father? I really like those.
I do too. That actor's name is Sam Salary. I don't know how we found a man who looked like he could be my brother. It was really, I mean, such a great find. And I felt like, those scenes and even the relationship that Jessica has with Max are like the touchstones. And, as an actor, like in kind of like as an EP2 on it, I mean, my mainstay, my main like priority was the performances and having them be as grounded as possible. Because ultimately, if you didn't care, I felt like if the audience doesn't care about, what Jessica is experiencing internally, they're not going to take the ride. You know what I mean? They're just going to do that thing we do when we watch horror movies and they're like, just kill her. You know what I mean? Just eat her already, kind of thing. So yeah, so those scenes, I'm glad to hear they resonated because they were very, very important to us.
Yeah, and they found two fantastic young actresses who play your stepdaughters in this too, Pyper Braun and Tegan Burns. How was it kind of finding that family dynamic with them? Obviously, they're a bit distant, so that's a unique thing. You're not like trying to bond and get like a super chummy chemistry right off. There is a distance. So how's it finding that right balance there?
I thought that Tegan specifically as Taylor did such a beautiful job of, that's a really hard role. Just like the surly teen, you know what I'm saying? Like the disgruntled teen girl is like such a challenging role. And I just remember watching, there was one moment where, she's like, oh, only I can call her that, basically. It's like a scene early on in the movie. And I could see, it's so wild. I can see Tegan's discomfort being that like mean. And the way that it registers on camera is that like you can feel the discomfort. Like you can feel that there's this, kid that's essentially grieving, and that grief comes out in acerbic ways. But ultimately, I think that that's something that Jessica understands, and it's why she's so patient and and so present and also so determined to win their love.
Yeah, and what's most rewarding when you're working with such talented young actors because they clearly have such a bright future as well.
Yeah. The most rewarding thing is one, uh a sort of low frequency mentorship where, they're you're helping them build skills that they'll be able to use going forward, and to learn how to advocate for themselves and not be afraid of being like, oh yeah, no, that's too much or whatever. It's so important too to like build in young women growing up in this industry. So that was one. And then I mean there's just nothing more satisfying than being there to witness any actor when they like nail a take, and they know it, and they're so like proud of themselves, and the inverse too, to assure them, like if they felt like, oh, that's not exactly what I wanted to do, just letting them know like we got it, like we got what we needed. Sometimes what's in your head isn't what the thing is, you know what I mean?
That's wonderful. And one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when you find out that nobody else is seeing this bear. Your reaction's so great. And you have a lot of real good like facial reactions throughout, which is so key to horror. So how was it kind of, showing these different emotions, especially in that scene? I loved your reaction.
I think I read the script throughout as like deeply psychological. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a version, like we had there was comedy and a bunch of fun in ours, but there's definitely a version of this movie where you know like I told Jeff from the beginning that one of Jessica's greatest fears, because she grew up watching her father's demise and like watching him in the state, she has her greatest fear is losing her mind. So that's like, and that's my only fear, my DeWanda's only fear. I'm not scared of spiders. I love deep sea diving and, jumping out of planes and the whole bit. But, I have a healthy fear of losing my faculties, especially in an industry like Hollywood. So that was something that I was just able to like use in that scene, where you're just like, oh, I can't trust myself. I can't trust what I'm seeing. That's extremely disorienting. Yeah, I love filming that. I love filming that scene. I love filming the moment where she's like scrambling and coloring the walls back in. Those are my,
That's
yeah, for sure.
that's really cool. And you spoke about the comedy. I found the ending really funny where they get to the other hotel and they're just the kid has an imaginary friend and they're like, nope, we're going to another one. Tegan mentioned that you had filmed a couple different variants and takes on that. So how was it kind of filming that ending in post-production?
Uh, it was great. That little moment, that coda came from uh one of my like EP notes to Jeff, because I was like, he ended the movie and I was like, just end the movie. And it was felt like a curtain drop. And he was like, yeah, I'd like to get out of there. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. So we went back and, added that extra beat, both for the actors so that where they are and how they are after the house burns down. But also for the audience to have one last exhale.
And how has that been being an EP and having more input creatively and getting and having more of a shaping of the project? How has that been being an EP for this?
I mean, I just really loved it. I think it's not something that I haven't done on other projects. I think back to She's Gotta Have It, and I had a huge thumbprint on that show. It was just a matter in this instance of like getting credit, one, and also, not having to like couch my opinions in anything. And the thing about, working with Jeff that's really beautiful is he's open in general, like he's like legitimately open, legitimately like if you see something, say something. Actually enjoys the collaborating component of filmmaking, and it was just delicious, so great.
Then my last question for you. Obviously, there's these great practical effects, like the giant Chauncey looks terrifying. As an actress, how does that aid you just actually seeing it rather than just going off of a green screen or it being added? How important is that practical effects to your acting?
I haven't had the experience to be fair. Like I have no touchstone, no point of reference, because I haven't worked on something yet where I haven't had all the toys, you know? Like I think people saw Jurassic and they were like, oh, how was that? And working with all that. And I was like, there are so many puppeteers. Like that multi-set alone, like every dinosaur you see in the multi-set was there was a puppeteer somewhere. So yeah, I've been very, 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 very fortunate so far. And I don't know. I mean, I think as an actor, you're always gonna have moments where you're acting across from nothing. Like if you're doing an extreme close-up, you're acting with a piece of tape anyway. So it's a skill that is required for the job no matter what you're working on. But I can say that, any emotionality in this movie that you find is pretty easy when you're like, you have like wind blowing in your face and there's a huge monster in front of you and the lights are flickering and you just have all this external things to tell you that you should be terrified. It's very, very helpful.